Be right with righteousness of God. In our right relationship with God, where we have come to Jesus as a sinner needing saving. I am the problem, you are the cure, I need your cure. And so we come to faith, belief, and trust in Jesus. And Jesus on the cross, his death and his blood, wash away our sins, delete our criminal record. Some of us have longer criminal records than others. And bestows on us sinners, forgiveness, love, and God's righteousness. And so now, after that moment of salvation, my friends, when we are walking in a right relationship with God, we need to be right with God's righteousness. And that boils down to two very simple ideas. We make it more complicated than we need to. A right relationship with God, walking in God's righteousness, not ours. Our righteousness is a gift from him. Our righteousness is filthy rags. The righteousness of God. It's easy. All we're supposed to do is fear and obey God. That's it. Fear and obey God. And yes, I know exactly what you're thinking because I thought the same thing, and that is we are horrible at fearing and obeying God. If it was a test, failure is their extra credit. You know, it's something we need constantly reminded of. Our duty is to fear God and obey him. And we fear him and we obey him from a place of love. He loves us, we love him, and we love him so much that we fear and obey him. When sinners call out to God for saving and forgiveness, God steps in and does it for us, my friends. When we confess with our mouth Jesus as Lord, he steps in and he saves us. There's a beautiful prayer in Psalm 116, verse 4. Save me from my sins. Purify me from my iniquities. Cleanse me from my filthiness. And he does it, and it's beautiful. And when he forgives us, when he saves us, then we just start in this right relationship. We've been made right with God, and therefore we need to walk in that righteousness. Look at 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21 says this, my friends. He made him who knew no sin to be sin in our behalf, so that we might become the righteousness of God in him. We go from sinner to saint because of Jesus taking and cleansing us of our sin and giving us this righteousness. And now that we're in this right relationship with God, we need to be right with this righteousness by living in fear and obedience. And this idea of fear and obedience comes straight from Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 and 14. Ecclesiastes can be quite the sludge through, right? You don't want to read Ecclesiastes if you're depressed or if you're anxious. Just skip to verse 12 would be my advice if that was you. You don't want to read Ecclesiastes in January during a snowstorm. No, 100 degrees, sunshine, laying on the beach, read Ecclesiastes. But Ecclesiastes chapter 12, it ends with the end of all things, the meaning of life. And brothers and sisters, we need to know what the purpose of life is. And we need to get it from God rather than some influencer. The purpose and meaning of life boils down to fear and obey God. It's God-centric, not me-centric. And that's the thing we struggle with the most, my friends. Fear God and obey him, for all our actions will be judged by him. There's going to be accountability. There's going to be a responsibility. There's going to be an evaluation. And it's coming and it's unavoidable. And therefore we better be living like we're approaching it, because we are. And so fear God is the Hebrew word is yar. Yar, mateys, it's like a pirate word, yar. Y-A-R-E, yar. And fearing God is a healthy and balanced, we get that wrong, healthy and balanced awe, respect, and fright. It's a healthy and balanced awe, like you are in wow of God. That's fearing God. Wow of God. That's the positive aspects of God. Wow leads to worship. The neutral aspect of fear of God is respect, where you honor and respect God like you would somebody you know is looking out for you. Respect leads to obedience. You honor your father and mother, therefore you obey them, kind of thing. And then the negative aspect of fear, fright, the Freddy Krueger and Jason and don't wear a hockey mask to the lake kind of thing. Or if you're going on a canoe ride and you hear banjos playing, just get out of North Carolina, right? That kind of fright. God is all powerful. He controls everything. If he chooses to discipline you, woohoo! If he chooses to judge you, woo! If he chooses to, so we should be afraid of him because he's that powerful. And that kind of fear and fright of God helps us not be prideful and arrogant and self-centered. So a healthy fear of God are all three of those things. Yar means all respect and fright held in health and balance. And that takes a lot of practice. And that fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, knowledge, and everything. And we're supposed to fear God. And then, of course, we're bad at that, but we're also bad at obedience. We're supposed to obey God from a place of love. We're supposed to obey him knowing that he loves us, he takes care of us, he sacrifices for us. And so a reaction to that loving God should be us loving him back by obeying. If you obey from a place of love, you are in a good spiritual place when it comes to God. If you obey God for reasons other than a reaction to his love, then you have opportunities to grow, opportunities for improvement, for sure. We need to be obeying because the test is coming. Judgment and accountability is absolutely near, my friends. Fear and obey. Fearing and obeying God. It's kind of easy to talk about. It's really hard to do. And we don't hold ourselves accountable enough for it. So, self-check. Are you fearing and obeying God? Are we fearing and obeying God? Right. Let's get right with God, because there will be a test.